So it's actually 5 o'clock in the morning on the next day, and I haven't had much to say. I haven't been doing much. I spent last night um, writing obligatory influentials, or yesterday morning. Um, I didn't get done doing my obligatory influentials until like 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I spent some quality time with one of them, which was Automatic for the People by R.E.M. I wrote some lyrical analyses on that. And then it was time to go to bed. When I woke up today, it wasn't until like 9 o'clock at night. And it's like I say now, it's I think it's around 5. Yeah, it's a little after 5. Um, and I didn't wake up until 9. I wasn't done eating until like midnight. I've been just screwing around. Um, I am absolutely going to do my compost run this morning. I will not have any cigarettes. Well, if I have any cigarettes left at this time tomorrow, it'll be very few. I'm gonna wait till the sun comes up though. It's nice. Although that said, I may expand this by a couple of days just because the weather looks so nice. I think it's 14 degrees on Saturday, and 15 or 12 or something on the next day. I think that really depends on what it is that I feel about the work that I'm doing. If I think I can get a day worth of work in, I may cheat by a day or two. If it looks hopeless, then I'm cutting it off with this. So that's what I'm going to do right now, pretty much, is I'm going to do about an hour or two of listening, and I'm going to see, does this sound like it's workable? If it sounds like it's workable, then I might have a few more days. If it doesn't, then it's done. It's time to move on. So yeah, that's the plan for the day, is to take just a quick look at this and then get my compost done for the day. I didn't get a shot of it, but I was just outside having a smoke and saw a lady walking by with two little kind of like lapdoggy poodle type affairs. Some kind of Zapper reference or something. So some kind of poodle type affair. And that big cat I was talking about came lurking around the bushes. And I stopped her. I said, "Hey, I think you should watch out for that cat." And as we were talking, it kept stalking, and it really looked like it was going to pounce. So that brings up the question again: how big can a cat get before it's worrisome? This cat looked like it wanted to eat these poodles, and it's quite clear. I had a talk with her. I'm like, "Listen, you should be concerned about these cats that are walking around," because she had stopped and she was like she was concerned about the cat. You could tell like she was gonna like approach the cat and like see if she could like do something for it. I was like, "Whoa, wait, you've got these dogs here. I think you should back off." And watching the cat's behavior, she agreed with me. She said that's a very aggressive behaving cat, and it does look like it wants to eat my dog. When you've got a cat that's big enough that it wants to eat your dog, they were small dogs, like I say, lappy, doggy, poodle type affairs, but I'll see if I can get a shot of it when I go out. There's the church across the street. It kind of seems to hang around there. Like I said, the lady next door used to feed them, so this is their hood kind of thing. And there's a kind of what do you call it? A collection of cats. A troop of cats, anyways. A troop of cats. It's Andrew Lloyd Webber, but anyways, it's a collection of cats and a colony. I think they're just called colonies. A colony of cats. There's about 5 or 6 of them. You only ever see 2 or 3 at the same time, but you can tell that they are in some way related, and they seem to realize that. But it's the big one. And there's really only one really big one. I mean, the other ones are they're not small, but they're not concerningly big like this one is. Anyways, what I wanted to talk about was the phones. When I got these phones, um, they had some padding on them. It was kind of a very thin kind of padding on the inside of the phones, and a kind of like sticky padding in these holes on the back. Now, the inside padding fell out many years ago. I haven't used that in a long time. Um, I mean, I just got used to the plastic on my ears kind of thing. The inside part, I think I've mentioned before that these headphones are 30 years old, or nearly 30 years old, anyways. And the stickier kind of padding on the inside here was kind of crumbling, and it was getting stuck on the inside, and it was rattling because it had fallen apart and was all kind of stuck on all the inside parts. So I took the initiative really to clean it out, as a process of trying to minimize the rattle on the phones. But having reduced the remaining issue to interference, I'm starting to question whether or not that was the better idea. Up or down, you can hear a difference, but I'm still getting interference one way or the other. And the more I think about it, I mean, if I'm picking up interference off of that or this or wireless upstairs or whatever, like I'm not gonna be able to fix it by moving things around or blocking things or the better approach really has to be to find some way to isolate the electronics in the headphones. So I took some. These are they're not exactly pantyhose, but they're like long socks kind of idea. It's sort of like if you had cut the top of a pantyhose off, but you would buy them like this. Um, Long stockings. And I had placed them around the cups of the ear to just kind of try and emulate the effect of the padding that would be there. And it did make a big difference. Although it sounded muffled, as you would expect, due to the fact that I had socks over them. But I mean, I think that it was enough to lead me to the conclusion that there's something to this idea. That being said, I had cleaned those phones out quite a bit before the issue started to develop, leading me to believe that at the core of this, I've got something crossed somewhere, and it's the cross that's really creating the magnetic problem. Now, that means that I need to do a little bit of surgery on my phones. Now, I'm putting that down for a second. You may ask the obvious question, which is why have I not done this before? And the answer is that I have done this before. I did this near the beginning of it, and I need to almost question if I may have actually exacerbated it by doing this. But surgery on the phones, I've taken this part right off, and I'm going to move it over into the living room, where I'm going to do that. I've taken these apart many times, actually. Down there, I need to get a knife. I'll be back in 2 seconds. But, the knife, taking this apart, it's not the easiest thing to do. You need to use your fingers and get the knife in. When I had taken this apart before, I'm going to turn this off when I do it, but it was to take hair out. I had a lot of hair in here, and it was to clean out all of the stuff that, see, I thought it was just to keep the dust out, and that removing it, I mean, it might create a dust problem, but it wouldn't be, the world kind of thing. And I suppose there is a possibility that if I open this back up, I'll notice there's a bunch of dust in it. But what I'm thinking right now is that unfortunately, when I had taken it out the last time, I might have messed something up. Either way, what I'm dealing with, or what I'm thinking is that the only way that I'm going to get these phones in a situation where they're able to withstand whatever signals are floating around is going to have to be to get something in that space. Once again, what I'm thinking right now is probably the best thing is probably some kind of pantyhose, like I had done, but I want to buy a pair of pantyhose and actually cut it in such a way that I can place it directly into these spaces like this to kind of emulate the fuzzy shit that wasn't there before. And on top of that, I can replace the pads for the front, and I believe that it is actually the same material. But I mean, if you know these kinds of phones, like, it's really, really light, and trying to take that and put it back in here is just going to create the same mess that I had before. So that's not something I can deal with like that. But I can certainly try and place something over top of it like that. I'm trying to avoid tape, but that's another option maybe. Just get some electrical tape and just tape it over these holes like this. The thing is that I want a little bit of air to be able to get through. Like, I don't want to block the whole thing off, because that might actually even make the problem even worse. I just want it just enough to kind of deaden it a little bit. Although, if that doesn't work, the tape will be the next approach. But before I do that, I want to take it apart, take a look at it, maybe reseat the magnet. It might be like crooked or something. And I want to do it for the other side as well. I only took one at a time because I want to make sure I put them back the same way that they were. So I'm going to turn this off for a minute while I take this apart, and I'll put it back on after. See, it's hard to tell. I mean, I probably wouldn't actually see anything here regarding this, but this is I believe it's called the driver, and it would pop the other way around like that. The only thing I can think of regarding this, and one needs to be very careful with this, but it's that perhaps, you see that little sponge there? It's not centered. I wouldn't really know how to deal with that. But there's not really any hairs in here, and the driver itself looks pretty clean. So putting this back together, I pop this back on there, and then I need to snap this back in. You can see that there's little bits in it. The only other thing is that maybe just the fact that the thing was not closed right, or perhaps it was not closed right, could have something to do with that as well. That's another idea to think about. But I think that just the idea of taking it apart and putting it back together may be enough to fix whatever shielding problem is there. If it's not, something else I can maybe try is maybe running some tape around the outside of it, and I'll show you that when I put it back together. Maybe that might shield something in there just to reinforce the close, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Okay, yeah, taking a look at that, it's not centered. This is the first one. I went and opened up the second one, and you can see it's the same thing. In fact, it's actually even a little bit worse. I don't want to touch it because, like I say, it's 30 years old, and I really don't think I could handle being touched. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back together, and you can see how this, it only goes in one way. This is the connector there, but it just snaps right back in. Now, once you do that, I mean, I had to put my fingers in here and stick a knife in it. So, how tight is that seal? And really, does it make any difference considering there's a hole in there? But it's a good question. If that's off a little bit, might that screw something up? Um, so, I mean, if I'm going to start taping things, I might as well actually consider taping that as well. But like I say, I'm kind of hoping the receipt does it, because what changed at that period? The only thing that really changed was the guy upstairs moved in. I can't remember, like not upstairs, but upstairs. I can't remember exactly when. Um, it could be that it had something to do with that. But the flip side of that is that when I first moved in, all of the units were occupied, and I didn't have an issue then. So if it is that, then it's something to do with something he brought in, and I can't imagine what it would be. So I really think that I probably actually created this by trying to fix it. Um, and I hope that reseating it resets whatever field issues were being created. Okay, well, I actually think I did it. Um, it's not just that it sounds good; it's that it sounds better than it has in a long time. And the difference is that there's noticeably much less noise. Um, I mean, there's a lot of noise in the songs, distorted guitars, and uh, you know, drum effects and all kinds of stuff. But after listening to it broken for so long, hearing it sound clean, it's a big difference. And like it, one of it, the high guitar parts especially are just a lot cleaner, and it really um, brought out the difference between sort of musical distortion that is a part of the song and the unintended distortion that I was picking up from probably from the phones themselves. Um, the best guess that I'm presuming that it stays stable. Um, the idea that I'm operating on right now is the idea that the magnetic field created by the phones was slightly it was just off balance because it wasn't aligned properly. And if I think about it, I mean the fact that if I move the phones close together and far apart, I was getting weird tonal issues. So just something was off balance, and just reseating it and making sure it was lined up, and making sure that um, the enclosures were closed properly seems to hopefully have realigned everything so that it works right. Um, that's, I mean, I still need to test a little bit. I mean, I can hardly go anywhere right now when I think I finally fixed it after all this time. I'm not about to put that down and go drop off a bag of compost somewhere. So I'll be here for a bit anyways. If it breaks again, I'll go to the compost. But if it doesn't, I may actually get some work done today. We'll see. But I mean, that's the hypothesis that I'm left with right now. I do think that there was an electrical issue. I'm still not entirely convinced that there weren't driver issues, but it does seem to me at this point in time that there was an issue with air. It was the last issue to deal with right now, and we'll find out if things are really stable or if I'm still getting all kinds of shit coming at me from outer space. I overdid it for the coffee today, even for me. and I'm about to crash. I've convinced myself that this is good. I turned off. I'll turn that back on later. I wanted to turn off the screensaver as a troubleshooting step because I thought maybe it was the screensaver turning off and on had something to do with it. But yeah, I've convinced myself that I've got it. I think that what was I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the last update, but it's this little slight hole in it's dark in here. I'm half asleep, but it's very dark in here and you can't see anything. But there's a the just the seal around the headphone. I'm getting some kind of a magnetic field out of that break in the seal. And the key is in just pulling the headphone back together. But it keeps kind of opening up a little bit. That's something that I had to do to take all the hair out was to open it up. And it might not be as tight as it should be as a result of that. One way to get around that might be to get some electrical tape and just put it around it. Hopefully that should at least block it off. But it sounds not just good, but like really good. So this is a big step forward for me here. I'm pretty sure I got it. The little bit of interference I am still getting, I can block with my fingers actually, with my hands. And I think it's like I'm just like picking up the fridge and shit like that. I can't stop that. I don't think I have any electrical tape right now. I've got I got Scotch tape, masking tape. I should have some electrical tape anyways, but I don't think I do. But that's an easy pickup at the store tomorrow. If I think that I'm close enough to it, and right now I do. I've got a handful of cigarettes left. My goal when I wake up is going to be, I'm not going to have any of them when I first wake up. I'm just going to sit down and listen. Maybe get something to eat. And I had the last of the spaghetti today, so I'll be back into my normal eating routine tomorrow. But I'm just going to be just listening straight when I wake up. And if I'm convinced that it's fixed, the way this is going to work is like this. I have 17 tracks on this record. I will finish a track, and in most cases, it's just a question of ensuring the mix is stable. And then I will have a cigarette, and then I will finish a track, and then have a cigarette. So that means that there's 17 cigarettes left. That's a bit more than I got there. So I will have to buy one more pack. That will only happen if I'm certain that it's stable. If I wake up tomorrow and I listen to it and it doesn't sound stable, that won't happen. I'm just going to get out of this limbo that I'm in, do my monthly cleaning, get ready to transition into increasing my estrogen dosage, and worry about the mixing later. But if I wake up in the morning and if I wake up tonight and I'm certain it's stable, then I will buy one more pack to get me through this mixing process quickly. It's just a process. It's just a question of how quickly can I get through this mixing process, right? If I don't do the cigarettes, I'm going to be falling asleep. It'll take me, a week to do it because I won't be able to stay awake. If I get that one more pack of cigarettes, then I can get it done, hopefully within 24 to 48 hours. On top of that, it's going to be nice the next couple of days. So it kind of all makes sense. But like I said, that only happens if I wake up and I'm certain that that's stable. Because I have to get out of this, nowhere land where I'm just floating, and it's been the case for months. Um, I have to get to the next step with all these things, and they're all converging around this thing that I got to finish this project. But I think it's fixed. I hope it's fixed. I'll find out when I wake up if it's fixed. Um, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm going to bed, so I'm out later.